Welcome to the QB Chronicles, an SMU football podcast with Garrett Gilbert and Kyle Padron. Join former SMU quarterbacks Garrett and Kyle as they break down each week's game, offering insights from their own experiences on the field. In addition to game analysis, we'll also bring you special episodes featuring interviews with past and present SMU players, sharing their stories and perspectives. Whether you're a diehard Mustang fan or just love football, this podcast is your go-to source for all things SMU football. Pony up!
Welcome back to the QB Chronicles. I'm Kyle Padron, ACC edition of the QB Chronicles, and joined by a good friend of mine and actually you can call him a two-time, two playoff quarterback. Both of his teams made the playoff this year in the 2024 College Football Playoff. Garrett Gilbert played quarterback at University of Texas, a 5 seed, and at SMU, our beloved Ponies, back in 2012 and 2013. GG, what's up, brother?
I only claim our 11 seed SMU Ponies for the record. What's going on, man? Apologize to everyone. I guess I was screaming a little too loud at the game. Lost my voice, woke up this morning and couldn't talk. So we're going to fight through it, though.
Yeah, just a tough guy, just playing through injuries and playing through a sore throat, loss of voice. But
only know one way.
Yeah, got the tough guy here. You don't claim Texas?
I have my diploma from Texas, but I am all in all, I'm an SMU fan. I follow them much closer. I didn't care for Texas for a while. I like watching Quinn and Arch now. I got to know them a little bit this summer, but overall, pony up.
Dang right. Well, man, that was a great time in Charlotte, North Carolina. That was my first time outside of the airport in Charlotte. Had a great day. Got in early and had just a fun day of being around a bunch of SMU people in Charlotte, different bars, and kind of bouncing around different groups. Met a ton of people. Saw a lot of friends, former teammates, and a really fantastic day in Charlotte leading up to a game that ultimately fell short 34-31 to Clemson. But a fantastic time in Charlotte. Unfortunately, just a slower start kind of got us, even though we came all the way back, and a couple of unforced errors really that game got away from us early, and guys fought and made a push toward the end, and Clemson kicker makes a kick of his life, that one he's going to remember for probably the rest of his life. But just a great experience in Charlotte. ACC Championship fall a little bit short, still a hell of a year. Now we have new life in the playoff. But before we get to the future of the college football playoff, with our Ponies getting the 11 seed, we're going to break down the ACC Championship matchup with Clemson. Gigi, go ahead and give us your breakdown, what you saw from start to finish.
Yeah. First of all, just to touch on some of the things you said, I thought the showing was great. I thought the SMU fans did us proud. It was kind of like we brought everything we had there. Of course, it was, a lot like a home game for Clemson, just traveling a couple hours north for them. But I was proud of SMU's showing. And, in fact, I was talking with, I think, Kyle Dixon, one of our partners with the group that I work with. And he kind of echoed the same sentiments, just how cool and surreal it was to have a game that SMU traveled so well for. And so I was pretty excited about that.
Man, we packed the Boulevard into –
and I think ultimately it boils down to, just looking through the box score here, ultimately it boils down to the first quarter, frankly. We shot ourselves in the foot a number of times early in the game, and I think I would be very surprised if Clemson's average starting field position was not in plus territory. That's not something that shows up on ESPN's box score, but it was – we just took punch after punch early, and obviously the early turnover with the strip sack, followed by the short punt and the personal foul, and it's 14-0 before you can even blink. We responded nicely, got it back to 14-7 before the first quarter ended, and then gave up really our only long drive of the game, aided by a roughing the passer penalty, which I thought was really unfortunate. I don't think that the call was wrong. I just think that the rule really, really stinks. You and I both played quarterback. I don't know. I feel like I got hit harder than that 1,000 times in my career, and now that's a penalty. It's really unfortunate. So that kind of sucks. It just, again, it is what it is, but that is the rule. But I just don't think it's a good rule. So they go up 21-7, and then from there we were playing catch up the whole game and did a fantastic job of doing that. I think our defense played admirably the entire night. I mean, they couldn't run the ball at all. I thought Cade Klubnik played pretty well, but overall our defense played pretty outstanding. I mean, there were a couple plays where, Clemson missed chances to really blow the game open. A couple missed pass plays here and there, but overall I thought our defense played really well, and offensively we did a fantastic job battling back. I mean, looking at this, we outgained them by 135 yards, passed for more yards than them, ran for almost 2.5 times as many yards as they did. Everywhere you look on the box score, SMU wins the game, except for penalties and turnovers. And there's your difference in the game because those happen early. Yep. So, again, I think I may be biased here, but I think, going into the game, I was a little worried. Sure, we had been through a power conference schedule, beat Louisville, beat Pitt, beat Boston College, teams that had been in the ACC and played big-time football, beat Florida State, beat Virginia. But Clemson is a different test. I mean, you're talking about probably one of the 3 or 4 premier programs in the NCAA over the past 10, 15 years. Certainly they're not on the same pedestal as maybe Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State and Michigan anymore. But all you and I have talked about all year is our front, and how is our front going to hold up? And I thought outside of the first little bit of the game where we had trouble running the ball, we had the strip sack, and again, I was sure there was a lineman downfield on Clemson's first touchdown. Another
5 yards
that
downfield.
was kind of a delayed RPO. Yeah. So anyway, all that to say, I thought we looked like we belonged. Very shaky first half, and I'm sure Kevin obviously, we got to keep 2 hands on the football, and then trying to make a play and thinking you're throwing it out of bounds away and not getting it out of bounds is something you can't do. But again, I mean, it's like we stood up to this team, and I know it's not the best Clemson team that they've had in the past 15 years, but I was proud of the way our guys fought, and I think we proved that we belong in big-time football. And I think, look, this season's not over. Let's go to Happy Valley, and we'll preview that game later. Let's go to Happy Valley and go win a game, and then we can go play Boise State and see what happens. But this is just the beginning for SMU.
Yeah, agreed. And I want to touch on. Going into the game, I was pretty confident that we were the better football team. After kind of doing some research further into Clemson and kind of looking at some of the games they played, and I was telling people leading up to the game, I thought we were going to blow them out because I truly believe that we are the better football team. Obviously, this game didn't turn out, but I do think that if we played Clemson 10 times, we'd probably beat them 7 or 8 times. I just think we're the better football team. And this one, to your point, got away from us in the first quarter. And anytime you're playing at a deficit at halftime, 24-7, I mean, defense did exactly what they needed to. They got to stop, open up the second half. We go down and score right away and cut into the lead and take some momentum back. Clemson had a sustained drive. I think it was 8 plays for 70-something yards. But, outside of that, the defense, I mean, they held strong most of the game. They got put in some tough spots. You touched on the short fields for Clemson. They had scoring drives of 33 yards, 28 yards. They had one long sustaining drive in the first half, but everything else, they were in SMU territory.
But again, that long drive was aided by a personal foul on a 3rd down that we got off the field, right? So,
correct.
It's yeah, go on. I'm just, it's very.
Yeah, I just think we were the better football team
to take from the game.
What's that?
I said there's a lot of encouraging things to take from the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit it on the head. It was the first quarter. It got away from us. And I think people coming out of the game, they're talking about penalties. I think there were certainly a lot of no calls. Certainly some penalties that went against us that, ideally they don't go that way, but you and I played in those games where, things aren't going your way. It sometimes does feel like you're playing against, the 11 guys on the field plus a few officials. And those are hard games to play in. But, and I'd love for you to kind of speak on it, but, what it's like to hey, things aren't going your way. It seems like the officials are relatively one-sided. But if you could talk about kind of that one snap and clear mentality, and I think our guys showed that, but, I think you and I both played in those games, and the importance, while the fans are kind of stirring and stewing on it, I think the guys on the field did a great job of getting to that next snap and keep playing the game and keep, maintaining focus throughout the game and ultimately having a chance to win at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we did all of those things right. Everything was going against us in the first half. Like you said, there were some tough calls. Even take it into the third quarter. I mean, we get off the field on a third down with an offensive pass interference call, and then they go ahead and pick the flag up. It turns into an explosive play for Clemson, and then the defense holds them to a field goal. I think it's or no, I'm sorry, maybe Clemson scored on that one, but to get to their 31. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably my favorite part about football is just playing the next play. Each play is its own little battle. And I love talking about what Coach Belichick used to tell us in team meetings when I was playing in New England. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times he harped on that. Like, you never know which 5 or 6 plays are going to swing the game in a different direction. And I mean, as it turned out, and I don't think anyone was, taking a play off or anything like that, but we tie the game up and everyone's excited as can be. And then we have to go cover a kickoff and Clemson runs it back to the 40. And now they're one play away from field goal range. Like, you never know in football when that play is going to happen. And so being able to play that one snap and then regardless of the outcome, emotionally just move on to the next play, no matter what the job is, no matter what you're asked to do. It's probably the best, but also the most challenging part about football. And that's why, I think you and I both love this game, is just because it teaches you so much about, life, frankly, but, just how to handle things emotionally. And so I really thought overall we did a fantastic job of that. I mean, there was plenty of chances to hang your head and give up. And nobody on our sideline did that. And I thought, even watching the sideline a little bit from the stands, you could see the belief was never gone, that we felt like we were going to win the game. We felt like we were going to get ourselves back into it. And again, I'm not after moral victories. I mean, that's not, we're not in that game at all. But again, I'd like to point to the fact that I think this is just the beginning for SMU. And so really proud of the job that Coach Lashley's done, his staff, and all the guys on the team. I mean, this has been a sort of a roller coaster year. I mean, ups and downs early. We weren't really sure what we were getting into. You and I doing starting a podcast, and the season starts out, and the season starts out the way it did. Like, we go to Nevada and barely win on a touchdown by Preston to RJ late, then lose to BYU at home, where we go 1 for 5 in the red zone or something like that. We didn't really know what was going to happen. And then all of a sudden Kevin takes over and we start rolling a little bit. These guys have shown that I truly think these guys have shown that this is going to be a program to be reckoned with and down the line. And Saturday's game, even made me believe that more, regardless of the loss.
Yeah, agreed. I mean,
because we could have laid down.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking about the game again, and just to your point too, of, kind of laying the foundation for what's to come for SMU football over the next several years. I do agree with you that, this is going to be, hopefully we're in the playoff every year. That's probably not going to be the case. It's just not how football and sports work, where teams compete, unless you're got the bias from the ESPN and get, conference bias.
Don't want to. We can get into that later.
Just the drive at the end of the game, 16 plays, 79 yards, 4-minute offense. What a hell of a drive. Kevin leads us down, again, fighting through some adversity, getting to the next play, a couple drops during that drive. But just some big plays. Can you talk about, running a 4-minute offense and really a situation where it's got to have it. If you give the ball back to Clemson, that's ball game. And, I thought,
I'm just looking at this.
Kevin handled that situation. Can you talk to listeners about kind of running the 4-minute offense? What's, kind of crucial, what to think about as a quarterback, and then kind of how Kevin handled that drive?
Yeah, for sure. I think just looking through this drive here, the biggest thing you see is there is not one explosive play. And I think, there was a lot of angst in the stands about, okay, we got to get going. But like you said, you don't want to give Clemson the ball back. And we gave him the ball back with 16. We gave him the ball back with 16 seconds, and it was still too much time. But I thought Kevin did a really, really nice job. There was a lot of soft zone Clemson was playing. They were dropping way out, and 3 or 4 times he hit Hibner and Brashard right over the middle for just little plays. And the advantage you have in college football is the clock stops once you have a first down. So, he did a great job of just taking those completions because you do get that extra time. I mean, those aren't quite timeouts, but they're little breathers that you can take in between plays when you get that first down. So it's Hibner. It's a stop route to Roderick on a scramble play out of bounds where he steps out of bounds. And then the same thing to Keyshawn, I think, on another pass out of bounds. And we kept getting into third downs, and we kept making the play that needed to be played. I think you and I have talked a lot about this year. Kevin made the right play, not necessarily the great play. And that drive was a perfect example of that. I mean, I think there were no spectacular plays. Everything was just right play. And of course, it helps when you do have 4 minutes. You're not dealing with a minute and a half, and the defense did a great job getting off the field, forcing, we'll call it a 5 and out, because the Clemson did get one first down, but they did give us the ball back with plenty of time to operate at a normal pace. And then I think Coach Lashley's play calling was really solid in terms of just giving Kevin the tools to make the right play and not try to have to make a spectacular play to go score in a hurry or anything like that. So I think the attitude is just especially there. Now, there are certainly situations in a 2-minute offense where you have to push the ball down the field, but this was not one of them. This was a perfect example of let's go use all of the clock and score with as little time as possible left, which is exactly what we did. I mean, that was, I don't know, man. I was so impressed with that drive. I thought it was fantastic. It was so much fun to watch from the stands. Mm-hmm. Really, really exciting. So, a lot of positives. Again, I obviously, do I wish we were the 3 seed and having a bye? Yeah, but man, a lot of encouraging things came out of that game the other night. Yeah, especially after the way the first quarter went.
Yeah, I love the fight. It's very easy in those situations to just lay down and kind of accept your fate. And our guys didn't do that. They fought like hell to the end and had a chance to win. Unfortunately, really the kickoff return, and we talked about the kind of one snap and clear. Clemson did a great job of that. They give up the touchdown, they give up, the 17-point lead, and they respond with, 16 seconds left in the game. Great kickoff return, great play by Cade, good throw. Yep. And then their kicker comes in and, makes the kick of his life. And
that kick, I didn't think there was any way a college kicker could make a 56-yarder in that weather. I think that was into the wind.
He boomed that.
Colin left one short from closer than that. And that was a great kick.
Yeah. Hats off to Clemson. They take the ACC, but proud of the fight for our guys. We will definitely be back. Very confident in that. Who is your player of the game?
I'm just looking here. I think I have two. I think I have 2 co-MVPs. I think the way Roderick played with, the only, 8 or so touches that he had, I think was fantastic. And I think I think his 2 jet sweeps went for negative yards combined. So we'll call it 6 catches for 97 yards plus, and then the touchdown to tie it. I think he deserves a lot of credit for his ability to just make timely catches. The other thing too, and Roderick, I think had a drop early. It just kind of felt like there were a little bit of jitters getting into the game, and then we realized this is just a ball game and just go play. And I think that probably, there's there's a lot of things that go into that. This is new territory for SMU, Frank, and I think there was a lot of pressure on our guys. So for them to be able to settle in after a real shaky first quarter was great again. So Roderick, and then of course 24 carries, 113 yards. Every single yard appeared to be earned against a great Clemson front, and then 6 catches for 34 yards and a touchdown. My guy Burchard, who I don't think will be bringing home the Doak, unfortunately, after Ashton jumped the other night. But he just continues to impress, and I think he's going to get a shot at the next level. And I'm excited to watch him at the next level.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be playing on Sundays very soon. I had
a Padron shot of the game.
Yeah, I was at Clutch prior to the game and saw a couple of people wearing Burchard Smith jerseys. I was like, that's got to be Mama and Papa Smith. So I walked over and gave his mom a hug. I was like, your son's my favorite player. I'm fangirling over Burchard right now. I want that jersey. No, he is a stud. I thought Kevin played, the second half. I thought he was lights out. Big performance for him. 31 to 50, 304, 3 touchdowns. That you mentioned the interception earlier, trying to just throw the ball away and didn't quite make it out of bounds, unfortunately. And then a rushing touchdown on top of that, so 4 total touchdowns. Big game for Kevin. So shout out to the kid from South Oak Cliff. And then Padron shot of the game. You mentioned Roderick had a big game, but one catch he had, fantastic diving catch on a go ball.
Yes,
38 yards to set up a Burchard Smith receiving touchdown. But another drive where it's got to have it. We got to cut into this lead. Kevin throws a great ball, and Roderick does a great job coming down with it. He beats his guy on a go route and just makes a hell of a catch, and then sets up what becomes a big drive or a big touchdown for Burchard Smith on a great play call by Rhett. But
I love that play call. Yeah. I'll agree just to jump on that. I think not only was that a great play, the throw to Roderick, I thought that was really necessary because I felt like the entire Clemson defense was just getting tighter and tighter and closer to the line of scrimmage. And I actually looked at Kylie at one point, and I was like, we got to throw it over the top of them at some time. Like, it doesn't have to be now, but like, got to make them feel the pressure over the top because otherwise they're just going to keep getting closer to the line of scrimmage, and then you can't run the ball, and then the quick passing game gets really difficult. So I thought that was a huge play in the scope of the game.
Yeah, I thought 2 things that stuck out to me with Clemson were you mentioned the DBs, playing pretty tight coverage, and then also on the offensive side of the ball for Clemson, I thought they identified a mismatch that early on they thought they could expose, and they ended up exposing, but Brandon Crossley had a bit of a tough game. He got targeted on more than one occasion. I can't remember number 12's name for Clemson. Certainly some things we've got to figure out how to, at least give Crossley some help.
Brian Wesco.
Yeah, Wesco. He had over 100 yards, a couple touchdowns, and
8 for 143 and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he had a solid game. So
they like that matchup with him on Crossley there, and I don't know what Penn State looks like, but ideally, we just didn't have a lot of help for Cross on that one. They took advantage of it, but those were kind of 2 things that I saw that stuck out to me is, at least tendencies that they were focused on. They didn't think that SMU's receivers could beat them over the top, which we did a couple of times. And then they liked that matchup with Cross there, but hopefully we get that corrected. And, anytime a DB or secondary is playing you pretty tight, you gotta try and extend the field and stretch the field a little bit to open up underneath, which that play, to your point, did for us. Just to recap the year, guys go 11-1 in the regular season, make it to the ACC Championship, come up just short, now sitting at 11-2, and they earn the right to play for a national championship and get the 11 seed in the college football playoff. we can jump into a little bit. Clemson takes the 12 seed after winning the ACC. They will go to Austin, Texas, a return home for Cade Klubnik. Austin Westlake kid will play at DKR against Texas. I believe that game is the 2:30 or 3 o'clock game on Saturday. Tennessee will go to Ohio State, the matchup number 8 and 9. Obviously, SMU, the 11 seed, will go play Penn State up in Happy Valley. Should be a nice, cool, crisp day in Happy Valley late December. And then Indiana goes to South Bend to take on Notre Dame in what is the first time in the FBS level anyway, where a university will host a home playoff game.
Yeah. I think all 4 of these matchups have some major intrigue. And I think you mentioned, Klubnik going back home. And then 3 matchups up north in December. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm pretty excited about this. I think there are definitely some tweaks that the playoff system can make. There's instances where, there's scenarios and situations where, let's take SMU for example. Of course, we have a tough game to go up to Penn State, but being the 11 seed, and then, if we were to win that game, or if Penn State were to win that game, it's like they get to go play Boise State, whereas Oregon has to await potentially. I think Ohio State or Tennessee in the second round, and they're the 1 seed. So there's some questionable things about the playoff itself, the seeding and all that. But overall, I think we have 4 really intriguing games with 4 home games that are going to be a lot of fun. And I think the first round of the 12-team playoff is going to be very exciting.
Yep. No, it's I wish they would have adopted the FCS playoff system, but I think that one is just perfect. You get 20 teams, top 4 teams in the country get a bye week. Everybody's seeded, accordingly throughout the production on the field. But we have a 12-team playoff extended from 4 teams. Let's all be happy that we have a 12-team playoff. I'm sure they will, continue to evolve as a playoff system. But this is just the first year, so let's just all be happy that there's 12 teams fighting for a championship. And let it, sort itself out over several years. But, before we sign off here, get to, a Penn State preview over the next couple of weeks and probably be back, maybe with 1 or 2 more episodes. But I do want to highlight it's been a hell of a fall for SMU athletics as a whole, and be remiss. I've been meaning to do this for the last several weeks, but to our women's volleyball team, just an outstanding run this year. They fell short against Missouri in the second round. But the buzz around volleyball has been pretty crazy all year long. I didn't catch a game, but would like to get to Moody to check out and support the girls next year. And a lot of great things. Men's basketball got, the ACC home or ACC opener. They beat Virginia on Saturday prior to the ACC Championship game. So men's basketball was playing well. And then our men's soccer team went to the quarterfinals, ended up losing to Marshall this weekend. But again, another deep run into the postseason. But overall, just a heck of a fall here for us as a program, as a university. And kudos to all of the athletes, the coaches, and again, the families that sacrifice so much for these kids and these coaches. A lot of great things happening on the hilltop, not just football, but as an athletic department as a whole. And Rick Hart deserves a lot of that credit, along with, Bill Armstrong, Weber, and there's countless others that we won't name, but just the support and everybody rallying around SMU athletics has been incredible, and, excited for the future of the entire university, and especially football, which we get to, have the opportunity. And it's a joy to, kind of do this with you, man. And it's been fun all year, and excited to, hopefully keep it going more than a few weeks and make it around the national championship.
Yeah, we ain't done. And as for your commentary about the rest of SMU athletics programs, watch out, Stanford. We're coming for that Director's Cup.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
I love it.
Let's go.
Well, thank you all for listening. We'll be back with you all soon. Until then, stay warm, and we'll talk to you soon. Pony up.
pony up.